Chapter 39 The Korean War Communism in Asia. In China in 1949, Mao Zedong led the Communist Party to drive Chiang Kai-shek's nationalists out of power. The nationalists fled to Taiwan, where they set up a government that the West recognized as a legitimate Chinese ruling body. On the mainland, the People's Republic of China was established on October 1st, 1949. Many Americans felt that their government should have done more to stop a communist nation and ally of the USSR from forming. In 1949, the Soviet exploded an atomic bomb, which meant that the US no longer had a nuclear monopoly. The 38th parallel. After World War II, a lot of colonized nations gained independence. In some cases, the imperial nations had to be forced to grant independence, and the process turned violent. Korea had been occupied Japanese colony. The U.S. proposed dividing Korea on the 38th parallel. The Soviet helped the communists take power in North Korea, and the U.S. supported the democratic government in South Korea. In June 25, 1950, North Korea troops crossed the border to try to take over South Korea and unite Korea under one communist government. Figuring that the Soviet Union was involved, Truman sent military assistance to South Korea and asked for assistance from the United Nations. He didn't declare a Korean War. The Korean War. The United Nations put together soldiers from 16 different nations, but the majority were American. The forces were led by U.S. General Douglas MacArthur. MacArthur forced North Korea troops to retreat, and the UN forces pushed them back toward China. MacArthur assumed that China and the USSR wouldn't intervene, so he got permission from Truman to invade North Korea. But on November 25th, 1950, the Chinese army entered North Korea. By 1951, the two sides reached a stalemate deadlock at the 38th parallel. General MacArthur wanted to go nuclear against China, but Truman refused. MacArthur publicly criticized Truman, and Truman fired him. Peace talks began to July 1951, but progress was slow. Seoul, Incheon, South Korea, Pyongyang, North Korea, USSR, China, Asia Pacific Ocean, 38th parallel, demilitarized. MacArthur made an unlikely amphibious invasion in Incheon, which turned the tide of war. I like Ike. Americans were angry about what seemed like pointless fighting in Korea. The Republican nominee, Dwight Eisenhower, known as Ike, promised to end the war and easily defeated Democratic Adal Stevenson. He was the first Republican to defeat a Democrat in a presidential election since 1928. I like Ike. This was Eisenhower's main political slogan. It took more than a year, but a ceasefire finally ended the fighting on July 27, 1957, Demilitarized Zone (DMZ) was established not far from the 38th Federal as a no man's land and de facto, actual, real border, de facto in effect. There was still a North Korea, 38,000 Americans and nearly 2 million Koreans and Chinese died to show that neither side was afraid to use force. Still, it's often referred to as the Forgotten War. We still don't have a peace treaty with North Korea. McCarthyism. Fear of communism was strong in the U.S., set off another red scare. The House UN American Activities Committee (HUAC) was established in 1938 to investigate an American activity, meaning any behavior that seemed communist-like. President Truman investigated the accusation of espionage among government workers. The HUAC targeted the movie industry. People who were charged were blacklisted by movie studio if they refused to reveal information. Blacklist, a list of people who are not welcome. Communist groups were required to register with the government. In 1951, a State Department employee named Alger Hiss was jailed for forgery, lying on the oath, forgery in connection with giving information to the Soviet. Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were ejected in 1953 for selling atomic secrets to the Soviet Union. In 1950, Joseph McCarthy, a Republican senator, took charge of the hunt for communists. He made reckless accusations, mostly against leftists, and claimed to have a list of communists working for the State Department, even though he never showed it. McCarthyism was now referred to the practice of making unfounded accusations of treason and the use of accusation to prevent criticism. During televised hearing, you can watch these online now. In 1954, McCarthy couldn't back up his accusation and lost all his credibility. As a result, he was censored, criticized, blamed, censored by the Senate for distorting facts and violating senatorial ethics. There was some Soviet spies living among Americans, but McCarthy lumped everyone together. Spies, communist people who lived in the theory of communism but didn't act on them. People who had nothing to do with anything other than the spies. A lot of these people were patriotic Americans. Arms race. Using stolen technology, the Soviet Union built an atomic bomb in 1949. In 1950, the U.S. began working on a hydrogen bomb, which was many times more powerful. The H-bomb was tested successfully in 1952. By 1955, the Soviets had developed their own H-bomb. Both sides raced to stockpile the most weapons, way more nuclear weapons than needed to annihilate both sides, destroy, wipe out. The US and USSR were developing missile technology and became locked in a space race, starting when the Soviet Union launched the first artificial satellite, Sputnik, in 1957. The next year, the U.S. launched a satellite and founded the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. The technological advances were meant to be used for both war and peace. And the space race led to a focus on math and science in American schools. Brinkmanship. Eisenhower was a moderate Republican who balanced the budget and supported the 1956 Federal Highway Act, which created the first interstate highways. He believed that containment wasn't strong enough for the Cold War. His Secretary of State, John Foster Dulles, coined a new term for their strategy, brinkmanship, meaning that the U.S. would issue warning with increasing pressure to go to the brink of a crisis. The greatest way to prevent nuclear war was knowing that there would be no winner. Both sides would be destroyed. The mutual assured destruction (MAD) doctrine and the brinkmanship was a cornerstone of U.S. foundation basis. And Soviet foreign flash during the Cold War. Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev and Eisenhower considered peace talk until Eisenhower sent U-2 spy plane. U-2 spy plane over Russia, denied its purpose, and then refused to apologize. Even when the pilot was captured, relations between the U.S. and the USSR deteriorated, declined, worsened.